All right, I just got my book that arrived from MIT Press today, Art and DIY Electronics. Been working on it for like a decade and a half. It's a rewriting of the dissertation work I did with Mark Poster, which started in 2005. I'm just sitting here. I just got the book and I'm making short videos about each chapter. So, where we are right now is chapter 3.2. This is, and this is the table of contents. Oops, not that. Here, table of contents. I talk about an introduction to the DIY mindset, history of electronic art, a definition of DIY. I talk about frugal innovations in a cluster of chapters, exploring technologies in another cluster of chapters, and then building identities in another cluster of chapters. So what I'm doing here is just talking about this, and we are at 3.2, identity and the Barbie Liberation Organization, culture jamming, technical détournement, and mediagenics, building something for press. Basically, kind of a theory of clickbait, I guess you could say. So, the Barbie Liberation Organization was a group that took Barbie dolls, talking Barbie dolls that said things like, let's go shopping and math class is hard and a whole bunch of other stuff, and ripped them apart and swapped them with G.I. Joe, talking G.I. Joe. And so what you ended up having is a Barbie dolls that would say things like, vengeance is mine, die, or, kind of bloodlust, kind of war oriented language. And then you had a bunch of G.I. Joes that would say things like, let's go to the beach, and stuff like this. So, kind of almost gender bending toys, circuit bending in one in at the same time. And what they did is they actually put these back onto the shelves in stores, and they created a pretty drastic buzz over their work. And this resulted in Mattel's stock price nosediving during the Christmas of 1993. Um, it was done at a time when this kind of experimental activism or kind of like protest kind of work was, I would say, somewhat new and really quite impactful. Still to this day, um, 30 years later, this is still one of the seminal kind of PR hacks that artists have done, that cost the company millions of dollars, and had a pretty massive effect. They pulled a product, and they reissued it. Um, Here's the Teen Talk Barbie. They released it um, in 1983, and they made VHS videos that they packaged and sent to news organizations, and they kind of sculpted this into a bit of a media frenzy that the press just kind of lapped up, and uh, they were able to do some really phenomenally interesting work. Um, and this idea now is really commonly known as culture jamming. Um, and I think that there's several things that can be learned here, that artists can really do pretty effective stuff, interesting stuff, and it can be quite technologically simple. I mean, this looks kind of complicated. I've actually done this, and I have these devices functioning in my studio. I actually went through and bought these devices on eBay, did the hack, um, and it works and it's great. But it's relatively simple. You just a screwdriver, uh, diagonal cutter, and solder, and you can basically hack this. So this is a reminder to artists that they can do really powerful, interesting work through quite simple technologies. And this is something that's important and is important in people carving out identities and explaining their identities. In this case, it took a jab at the gender stereotypes of toys. In particular, people were kind of pissed off at this, at that the Barbie specifically talked about math class being hard. The main kind of thrust for this work was kind of saying like, well, like you don't necessarily need to discourage young, girls and young women that are using this product that, you know, math is something to be scared at. It's not really effective. And so flipping the genders is a quick hack here. And for the effort involved, there was really kind of a bit of a revolutionary kind of example at culture jamming. So that is an overview of Chapter 3.2, Identity in the Barbie Liberation Organization, and the idea of culture jamming in my new book, Art and DIY Electronics, from MIT Press. And it's all in color. 100 or so images in color at a low, or well, not really low, but a lot lower cost than most academic books. Thank you.